Let me double check before we get into the nitty-gritty. This is the third iteration of server-side purchase events and what they can do for you. It's a big buzz topic and subject in the Facebook groups. And yeah, so we'll talk about what it actually helps with and how it works in detail today. Let me double check and make sure that I'm on the right channel here and that I selected the proper way to broadcast, to start this broadcast. I have a feeling that something isn't right. There's one thing in Be Live that they have changed since you can stream simultaneously to Facebook and to YouTube, which is what we're doing. But there is a certain level of confusion going on here. And I just want to make sure that I got it right this time. So I'm just going to check in my Facebook account, just make sure that I'm seeing this. Happening now. Yes, that is looking great. Okay, then we're going to believe it and moving right along. So if anyone's live online right now, please come on into the original location of the live streaming video. If you want to leave a comment, hey, Federico, here you go. There's someone online. Awesomeness. Hey, how are you today? Super cool. So server-side pixel events, server-side attribution, and server-side API. Big buzz on Facebook, particularly since so many things are changing on Facebook, and the big war that is going on between Apple and Facebook has even Mark Zuckerberg concerned about the revenue that is coming in from Facebook ads on certain channels. So just as a way of doing a quick recap of what we've talked about in the two last live streams, we've taken a closer look at the difference between browser events, that's over here on the left side, and server-side events, right? So just as a quick recap, the browser-side events are, let me zoom in here a little bit. The browser-side events are firing in the user's browser on iPhones, Chrome browsers, any browser that the user is using to place the order. These events are firing right here, and they have these problems that all kinds of preferences or gadgets that are running in the browser may be suppressing the pixel events and preventing them from getting through to the actual destination on Facebook. Sorry, guys. I just noticed I don't have my good microphone on. That's a little bit too bad, but I'm not going to change that right now. I hope the audio is good enough for you to understand me anyway. So the result of all these problems that can happen in the browser events is that you can be missing some events. And of course, missing events are also going to be missing from the reporting. Now, after the user completes the purchase, the order comes into Shopify, and then Shopify notifies Trackify that there is a new order, and at that time, Trackify is generating a server-side event. So it's sending an event, a conversion event, via the same Facebook pixel to Facebook directly from our server to Facebook server. So this is independent of the user's browser. And therefore, this eliminates a whole bunch of problems that come in to the browser events when they're going on the browser. As a result, absolutely all events are received by Facebook. All events that are a conversion event for an order are actually getting into Facebook. They're also getting deduplicated because what we assume here in general is that the browser events are firing for about 90% of all sales, of all conversions, purchase conversions, but the server-side events are going to back them up. And so in case anything goes amiss on the browser, the server-side event pitches in. So that means that for 90% of the events, or maybe a little less or maybe a little bit more, we're actually expecting them to be duplicated between the browser events and the server events. So we have to make sure that they're getting deduplicated on Facebook's end when they're getting there. Otherwise, you're going to get everything duplicated, and everything is going to be a big mess if you don't do that. All right, so that is also considered, that is implemented in the Trackify server-side events. So you have full deduplication between browser events and server events, as well as if there should be multiple server events, or if for some reason multiple browser events would come in for the same purchase, they would also be deduplicated. So deduplicated means they're not going to show up twice or more than once between events that fire for the same conversion. They're not going to show up twice in your attribution in Ads Manager. And that's the whole goal, right? Is that we want to improve the attribution in Ads Manager for all these events that we're sending. So the cool thing that we're getting as a kind of like an added bonus, so if it was up to here, would already be pretty darn cool, but the awesome added bonus that we're getting is that we're actually not only firing server-side purchase events for all purchases that are made through the user's browser, but we're also firing any events that are made in other sales channels. For example, eBay. If you have a sales channel on eBay and then the order is being put into Shopify once it's placed on eBay or on Amazon, that order is going to get a server-side API purchase event. Same thing for manual entered orders, right? If you have a team that is following up with phone calls on, let's say, abandoned carts, or even if you have just a phone number listed on your order page, you'll notice that you actually sometimes get calls that place and finalize orders via the phone. And those can be manually entered orders. And when they're manually entered, of course, there's no user in the browser, and therefore you would be missing out on these events because there are no browser purchase events fired for these orders, but the server-side events are generated anyway. And then also that goes for recurring orders as well. So if you have something going on like recard or anything that you charge recurring orders, like let's say you have something that is fulfilled on a monthly basis, and the order is charged as a new order being put in every month for the recurring shipment or the recurring charge, then that order will also show up in the server-side events. And a lot of times they can actually still get attributed to Facebook ads and actually show up in Ads Manager. And not only that, attribution is not the only thing where server-side events come in, but also with regards to audience building. So you could technically build an audience for recurring orders only, and use that audience for retargeting, or build a lookalike audience from that and use that for cold traffic ads, right? With a lookalike audience that consists only of users that have placed a recurring order. That would be an awesome audience to try out. All right, so that's that part. Then in the second iteration, we talked about, I showed you what this actually looks like and how the events come into the test tool here in your events manager. And as you can see here, this is basically the entire funnel that I'm testing from the from like a collections page, then a product page, then I added the product to the cart and looked at the cart page, then the initiate checkout fired when I went from the cart page to the checkout page, and then I got this event right here, which is the browser event for that purchase. And then a few minutes later, I got this one here, which is the server-side event. It shows here that it's received from the server, and it shows that it's the same event ID as the browser event, and that's how Facebook can then go ahead and deduplicate that, right? So that's kind of all in the way of recap of what we've gone through, what we've gone over in the past two Facebook Lives here. And I want to make sure that, right now, we may or may not have any questions about this. So if you have any questions, make sure you come over to the original location of this video, and then go ahead and put your question there. If you have any question at all about this, just put it on the original video so I can see the comment here and I can see your question, I can answer it. All right? Cool. So let's go on now. For today, I promised you I wanted to show you some actual results and what that looks like when you actually run this live. And I have recorded a little bit of a sample result here from a shop that has been running on the server-side events, server-side purchase events in Trackify for the past 30 days. And so there are two sections here to this video. Let me see here. I can hide this one and show this one, and then I need to try and play this. And yes, okay, so that should work. Let me hide mine and make sure that this comes through. And I'm going to play it, and as we play, I can comment on it. So what we have here is, this is in the Events Manager. You can see here, this is the event overview list. And you can see here, when you scroll down to where the purchase event is, you can see its sources are browser and server, right? All the other events only have browser events as a source, and the purchase events here is showing browser and server as a source. And this number here is like a quality score regarding the advanced matching or the matchability of events. An 8.5 out of 10 is actually really, really high. That's an awesome, awesome score. And I'll talk about that in just a minute, a little bit more. But first here, let's see. So when you hover, you basically have these two lines here. The blue line is the browser events, and the green line is the server events. They're following two different scales. There's a scale here on the left side for the browser events and a scale on the right side for the server events. So they are not related to each other. You can basically just see when they go up and down. But the green line being below the blue line does not mean that there are generally fewer server events than browser events. And if you hover over this line like this, and you kind of go from one node in the line to the next, you can see the ratio here, which events were fired. In this case, for example, 45 browser events were received and 60 server events were received. You can see here all 45 browser events were counted, and on the server side, there were 46 events that were deduplicated and 14 events that were processed. So that means in this case, you had the benefit of 14 additional events in addition to the ones that were received by the browser. Just, hover over a little bit more here. And the ratios here can kind of vary and show different numbers at different times. So here, for example, we have 54 browser events. 4 of them were deduplicated, and then on the server side, there were 100 were received, 64 were deduplicated, and 36 additional were processed. Now, you might ask, well, why are there 64 deduplicated if only 54 were sent in the browser? Well, maybe there were 10 that were sent twice on the server side, right? That's a possibility. So this is a very cool way to see what's going on and where the browser events are, where the server events are. This is another thing here that I wanted to highlight. You can see here that the advanced matching activity has, in this case, now led to a 20% higher attributed conversions ratio than if you were running without advanced matching. So advanced matching activity kind of combines the advanced matching values that are sent with the browser event with the way that the server events are matching, right? The server events are essentially using a similar mechanism to match the events to Facebook users as what is known as advanced matching data in the browser events. So that's why they are compounded here on this value when it says 20% higher attribution conversion. So that's awesome. And here you can see also 99% of your purchase events are receiving all these advanced matching pieces, so that's awesome too. You can see advanced matching in combination with the server-side events are really having a great effect on Facebook being able to recognize your Facebook users, and that is important for both features of the Facebook Pixel that are the essential features, which are, number one, of course, attribution, which pixel event, which conversion can be attributed to a paid ad. And then the second really important part to the Facebook Pixel event is, of course, audience building. And that's important for retargeting and also for audience leveraging by way of building lookalike audiences that are based on custom audiences, right? So for all of these features, the first thing that has to happen is that Facebook is able to identify the Facebook user who has triggered that specific conversion that we're talking about. And then based on that, you can build the custom audience, and you can use the custom audience to retarget those people who have taken that specific action. Or you can also use that to exclude buyers from cold traffic ads or from retargeting ads or from the ads that are retargeting maybe second, third, fourth round of retargeting ads that are offering a coupon code. Well, if you had a buyer buy that item without the coupon code, you don't want them to get the ads that are offering the coupon code 3 hours after they already purchased. So in that case, that's a smart idea to build this audience and eliminate it from the retargeting ad, excluding it. And that's also a good application, good use of custom audiences. And then, like I mentioned, the leverage use is that you use that same custom audience then to build lookalike audiences so that you can run cold traffic ads to people, to users on Facebook that are most similar to the people in the actual custom audience. Okay, so now the really cool thing here, I think that was it for this screen. And then I went over to the next screen here and showing you some results here on the actual ads. So this here is a 30-day screenshot. There are 30-day results, and they're comparing, the results are compared with the 30 days prior to that. So roughly, this is actually not quite accurate. We have server-side purchase events now running for a little more than 30 days, actually going on 40 days. And so actually the primary report date range is the last 30 days. And then I selected compare ad, and you can see here, for example, in this column right here, you can see that that's the comparison time period. Okay, so you can see here in those popped open columns, right? I don't know if you're familiar with that. When you're comparing different date ranges of a report, you can pop this open, and for example, for results, you see the current reporting time frame, so that's the last 30 days, and then you can, next to that, you can see the comparison period, which in this case is the previous 30 days before that, and then you can see here the change in total numbers, and you can see the change in percent as well. So and I've kind of popped this open here for the results. So that's the purchase counts. So in the last 30-day period, there were 2,500 purchases attributed, almost 500 more than in the previous 30 days, and that's an increase of almost 24% right here. And over here, we can see the cost per result has dropped pretty dramatically, right? In the current last 30 days with server-side events, the cost per result, the cost per purchase in this case, was $24. And in the previous 30-day period, it was almost $32, which is a drop of almost 25% in the cost. So, and this is a typical result for adding server-side events to your reporting. So, cool. That's that. And that is all for today. today is a nice Labor Day holiday. I have some stuff scheduled with the family, but I'm also, working away. We're working on getting better. I mean, we don't have any reporting right now on the server-side events aside from what I showed you inside Facebook, but we're working on making this visible and more tangible for you in the Trackify user interface. Just to show you real quick how easy it is right now to set up these events and enable server-side purchase events. It's very simple. You simply, let me see, I need to move this over this way. All right, and then here's my BeLive page. I lost my BeLive. Here we go. So I'm going to hide this one and show this one and hide myself. All right, cool. Now where's that page again? Okay, here it is. All right, so really all you need to do, this here, you can see this pixel is already enabled. When the pixel is enabled for server-side API, you can see the dot here is green, and I'm in the pixel engine in Trackify. And you can enable it for a master pixel if you have one already inserted and server-side API is not enabled. You can enable it by clicking on Edit and just simply check or uncheck this box, and that toggles the server-side status. So I should have probably started that this way, because now the server-side API is showing gray, and that means it's not enabled for this pixel. So to enable it, you open it for edit and check the box and then update. Now, one thing that is really, really important for several features, for several functions in Trackify, but also for the server-side API events, is that you have something entered in your notification settings over here, right? So here you want to make sure that you have an email that is a good email. I'm just going to put my Gmail address in here. And you want to have that enabled, and you want to check all the token types, all the access token types that you're using for notification. So what this means is when, in the event that an access token expires, we send you an email automatically through the system so that you can come back into the Trackify user interface and renew the token so that you don't miss out on server-side events, right? So these tokens expire very, very rarely. Basically, they expire only if you change your Facebook account password. But if that happens, or if Facebook makes you change your password or something like that happens, then the token is no longer good, and then you need to come in and just simply renew the token. It's an automated process. You just have to be present in the Trackify user interface, and then everything else goes from there. Cool. So make sure that that's the case. The server-side API purchase events are currently a feature. Well, they're currently enabled for the business plan and up, but for the business plan, this is just a trial period, a test period. We will eventually limit that to marketer plans. It's actually a really awesome feature that takes quite a bit of resources, so it actually costs us money to run and offer this feature, and that's why we cannot long-term offer this for the less expensive plans on Trackify. But you will see once you try it, even if you try it in business right now, you will absolutely see that it's totally worth it, because it's just so much better, so much improving your results, and getting you really visible and tangible improvements over not using them, over not using server-side events. And there you go. And so Trackify is the only app, the first app, and even the only implementation at all that uses server-side events. Shopify doesn't use it, and there's no way to integrate it there other than using Trackify, or other than using complicated manual ways to enable them. One more thing, just in case to avoid confusions. Hold on, manage my screens here. Yeah, this is good. So let's see where I wanted to go here. Yeah, so the integration settings, right? We used to have server-side purchase events support via Zapier. And that's also an interesting case. We have, you know, shared Zap and big instructions here on how to set this up and everything like that. But this is no longer needed. So you don't need to set up any of this, or if you have previously set this up, you can just take it down and save a bunch of money, because Zap, running Zaps on any significant amount of purchase events is actually a pretty expensive thing. And so we had some users complain about that the Zaps were getting too expensive. And so I'm happy to report that the Zaps are no longer needed. It's a deprecated integration. Here's a big note here that you don't need to implement this. So just go to the master pixels in the pixel engine and enable that like I showed you, and nothing else, no other setup is needed. Cool. So unless we have any questions about this at all, I'm here now, but I'm eager to get back to my holiday celebration with the family. And I didn't want to take up too much time from your holiday Monday either. So if you have any questions right now about this or about anything else, just let me know. Come on over to the original location of the live stream video and let me know your question. Type in your question so I can see it in the comments and I can respond to it and answer it. I'm going to wait another 30 seconds here. And while I'm waiting, I'm going to show you once more here. There's a new way of removing the Shopify pixel. And that is kind of a strange new thing. That's because Shopify has implemented their Facebook pixel in a different way now than they used to. And you see here, we're on the online store preferences page. And right here, where you used to have just a field, a form field where you could post or paste your Facebook pixel ID, that has now been removed and replaced with this button. This button actually launches this Facebook channel, sales channel. So if you don't have this, then this button will actually install an app that will let you set up a sales channel, and it's pretty complicated. So if you haven't done that, you don't need to do it. There's no need to set this up in order to be able to use Trackify. So don't worry about it. If you haven't set this up yet, it's fine. Now, if you have set it up and you want to use Trackify and you remove the pixel from Shopify, then this is what you need to do. You need to click on the Facebook sales channel here, which opens the Facebook app. It's an app that is created by Shopify. So I'm not going to say anything about the quality of Shopify apps in general. They don't have the greatest reviews. Hold on just one second. I need to just get myself here to the status where I actually have this set, but there's tons of other pixels that are visible if I show them to you, and I want that. So let me see. Okay, so let's say this one here. All right. Okay, so now I'm going to share it again. And take this one away so you can see something. All right, so I'm in the Facebook app by Shopify, and I'm going to click over here to the settings menu. And then down here, I'm going to go to marketing settings. And again, this here is all stuff that you may or may not have set up before. You would have had to set this up to have a pixel tracking already selected here. And this is where you need to go to remove the pixel from Shopify. Okay, otherwise you'll get duplicate events with Shopify and Trackify, and there'll be conflicting data that's going to be sent. So you have to remove the pixel now in this way, which is a little bit more complicated than it was before when you just had to take out the pixel ID from the field in Shopify settings. But this works just the same way. So you get a warning here. Just want to mention this too. It says, by disconnecting your pixel tracking, any active Facebook marketing campaigns will stop working. Now that sounds very alarmist, and it sounds very alarming. And it's actually much more alarming than it should be, because you know, when you just read and you don't pay attention, you think, oh wow, all my Facebook campaigns will stop. I don't want that. But that's not at all what it means. It only refers to any campaigns that were created with the Facebook marketing app, which is an app that is now integrated in this Facebook app. You can see here when you're in the overview, you have Facebook marketing here, and you can create a campaign through this Facebook marketing app, which is now part of this Facebook app. And if you have any campaigns or ads running on this, they may or may not, they probably will stop working, and you can't create any new campaigns here unless you have pixel tracking enabled here. But we don't want that. You know, we generally we run all of our ads in our own ad accounts, and this is all quite limiting because this Facebook marketing app only lets you connect one ad account and one pixel. So it's very limiting. Most of our users don't even want to use that. So you know, the instruction here is just simply to disconnect this. Don't worry about any ads that are running in your own ad accounts, because they will just work just fine, particularly if you're using the same pixel in Trackify that you're removing here. Then you really don't have to worry about anything. So once you disconnect here, that pixel will be removed. I'm going to hide the screen again because it will reveal a bunch of other pixels that I can't show you. All right. So there you go. That's, again, as another recap of another new change that happened just over the weekend in Shopify. You can also review this change in the Trackify Welcome video. It's all updated to reflect these changes in Shopify. Okay, cool. That's it. I don't see any new questions, so I'm going to cut this server-side installment off at this point right here. We'll have a webinar coming up about this server-side topic coming on Thursday. We're going to do it on Thursday. And until then, I might run some more Facebook Lives about the topic just to field some questions, see if you guys have any questions, give you any updates that we have in the user interface in the meantime. Until then, I wish you an awesome Labor Day, and I'll see you soon. This is Thomas Bartka signing off. Take care.